bądź cicho.
Jestem cicho.
Zamknij drzwi. 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 Okay, I think I will just go and check. We're just checking now if we have good sound and if we have good images, like video is smooth and everything. Let me know, okay? I'll just switch on the second here. I will switch the second. Oh, come on, don't do that. Sometimes so annoying. Hi girls, how are you? Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Hi girls, how Can you hear me?
Okay. Hi, Nuneka. I think we are doing good so far. Like, we are doing okay. Just let me switch to this. Hopefully, I'm not going to to lose the connection. Really, sometimes back online, good. Sometimes technology goes funny. I can see 3 of you watching. Okay, good. So I can switch on this one. Hello. Yes, I'm going to use that. Yes, we're going to do the brush. Let me just switch off the Wi-Fi on my computer. Well, first of all, Nuneka, thank you so much for joining us on the VIP and art buddy level. It is so exciting to have you here. And I'm so happy that you are together with us, because that really means a lot, and I'm just hoping you are going to enjoy, because of course it's always great to see that you are excited about things, and I hope you're going to have a great time. I picked this one because I think it's a good example of very soft colors. I have that done in many color versions as well. We're not going to create exactly the same one, but it is going to be inspired by some kind of selection of products. So this is just one of the examples I'm going to show you today. And I picked red because I found a background that was already started. So there was a bit of the red color. So Nuneka, you don't have to use the color of my choice, of course. It's up to you. It's just general idea. I know red is not yours favorite. So just to make you feel a little bit more relaxed, I have some other samples as well. And I think we're going to, I could maybe like three more minutes to make sure that we have everybody who's supposed to join, because it is the middle of the day, it's earlier than usual. And I know this is maybe a problem for some of you. But in the evening I have some family things to do, and I couldn't stay that long. And I hope this is okay. And we've got always some people joining a little bit late because they have to realize there is something going on. So I'm going to show you some inspirations like that and explain what may be the options, what will be the good product choices for softer tones of mixed media, because that is something that we are going to focus on today. You love the cover. Thank you. The cover was done on one of the Prima albums. This is a chipboard album done by Frank Garcia. So there's a lot of space in it. I had to do something for the show, and I did that one. It's a combination of blue and red, which means Nuneka is again. Hello, Chris. It's good to see you. So this is a challenge for some of you. I just want to give you some ideas, and I will going to show you some of the techniques and what to do if your project was getting too intense, too dark, some product ideas, and we're going to make nice collage together as well. So I gave you the list in case if you would like to join. The most important thing, you need some white paint or gesso. So I suggested, of course, white gesso or snow white impasto, because these are really white things. Then some light colors of paints, for example, white pearl, but also there are some colors such as Opal Magics, and they are going to do good job for you as well. And I need to take some Opal Magics as well. I think this one was the plan. That one here. Oh. Some of them were not used for a long time, so they may need extra care. I have that one. I think I'm missing rose gold. I have to find the rose gold. I was looking for these ones, but I can't find rose gold. And I found one which was empty. Hello, Mia. Hello. Good to see you. Okay. So maybe 2 more minutes and we're going to start. I'm looking for one color. I got distracted and then oh, violet gold, not bad at all. This one will do. It's not exactly what I was looking for, but it's going to do. Hello, Karen. I think we have most of the crew on board. And first of all, maybe I will try to talk to you directly as before, as now I have this quite good technique. Hello. How are you guys? So, thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for deciding to spend this afternoon with me. And the plan is, as you requested, to talk about softer side of mixed media. I even wear very light colors myself for that occasion. And I found new bling. Look at that. Super pretty. So I picked the projects that seem to be the good examples of projects which are in really soft pastel colors. And this is going to be a good way to explain what are the ways of dealing with this color palette and what to do if our project gets too dark and how to save it. Because I know some of you mentioned that you struggle with the light colors because you naturally go towards intense and towards darker tones. And then you are tempted to try the lighter ones as well. I know some of you struggle with the white space, so I'm trying to, in this video, to show you some of the important things. However, if you don't feel this is enough, I've got good information, because our next episode of the Mixed Media Essentials, the one for August, so probably in 1 week or 2 weeks, it's going to be about texture and color. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about how to deal with the color in the mixed media projects. And of course, there are no good and bad ways. it will be again just some things that may help you. So let me show you the examples, and we are going to talk a little bit about that as well. I can see I have terrible lag with my other camera, no idea why. So it's going to be kind of a challenge. Interesting. I will just switch off and on again. Yes, and now the lag is only 5 seconds, so that should be better. I have no idea what my other phone did. So we've got color palette like this. You can see it is very pale. You have some intense colors as an accent, but in general it's mostly white background, right? So here we use metallics, and we use some waxes, and of course quite a lot of white paint. So to get that results, you need to start with quite white surface. And here's an example of using sparks on the white background. I did it as a live stream on Facebook probably 2 years ago, but it's also combined with waxes because sparks were far too shiny. So it was good idea to calm it down a little bit. This one is an example of the class I'm teaching, but it can be in any color palette. You can see the size and how much of the white background is left, and also how you deal with the colors. We're going to use some of these techniques of dealing with colors on our project as well. And for that purpose, we are going to use combination of sprays and combination of metallic paints or mica powders, depending what you have on hand. You can see intentionally here there was rust added as well to make it a little bit more dramatic, but we don't have to do that. We are going to focus on this softer, elegant, more shabby looking projects. Then finally something similar but different shape. That is a clock, also with rust. Sorry, this glare is terrible. Oh, maybe now. You can see the details a little bit better. That class you were asking about, Christina, that is not online yet. That is class which is in-person class. And I know some of you took it already with me. So that will be good recap. So here, it's again, a lot of texture, but in general, as you can see, the whole beauty comes from the texture and the light color. And then the colors are really whitewashed, really nicely applied. So I will mention what you can do again when we're going to come to coloring. But I wanted you to show something else. And this is again another example. This is the one it's kind of inspiration for today. Combination of spraying and Opal Magic paints. Okay. So I started thinking about composition with the brush because I have that as my classes in some of the places I was teaching that as a class. I think that was like 3 years ago or 4 years ago. I don't even remember. But then I came with another one. So this is just inspiration, but we are going to work in a similar way. So what you need to do, you need to get some surface if you would like to create with me. It would be good to have some stencils. You can start with blank, or you can start with sticking some paper like tissue paper or rice paper. It's up to you. I put these on the side, and I'm going to show you what is my plan. Okay, on the side here. When I was looking for the canvas, first of all I was thinking, oh, I will just start with the blank canvas, and then I found this. this is the background I prepared before for some kind of the project that never happened. So I figured, this is going to be perfect for a start for our class today. And I will show you that perfectly from the other angle. Sorry, this way. Yep. Hopefully this is going to work a little bit more. Ugh. How is that? Now, I think it's okay. So, as you can see, my first step here was in fact using a bit of the tissue paper, which I stuck only to the background. And just in case if you're wondering how to do it, just a quick reminder, you can do it with any paper, but tissue paper is very, very thin. I found the tissue paper that had some red accents. There's like a big red stamp and then some flowers. So that's why I have red paint on my table. So if you want a very quick and very interesting background, you can just stick tissue paper. Oh, that was exactly that one. Tissue paper on your canvas, and that is going to already add some interest. The best solution is some kind of liquid gel. I use soft gloss gel or soft matte gel. One coat of gel on the canvas, tapping the paper on in the configuration you like. You can make some patches, you can make one big piece, and this is going to create our background very quickly. So this is what happened in that canvas I found by accident. I knew there will be finally a day that I will use it for something. So I found it in my drawer with the blank canvases. Then you can see I already sprayed some tea color on it. It's okay. And then, as you can see, I was sticking some layers of the paper, some chipboard. It's very basic composition, and I think the original orientation was like that because look, the stamp and the text was like this. So very likely I was planning to go with some kind of composition with a photo, just to show you what I think it could be. But it was, again, long ago and I'm not sure, right? So let's say I have a smaller photo. I would probably think about putting the composition here on that side, and then this red is nice accent. So this is just the first layer. I didn't really add any embellishments that would be big ones. So when I found that canvas, I was thinking that is going to be perfect combination. Okay, so I found this. We have these kind of brushes in some of the classes, and I have to buy them in bulk, so I have like 15 in the box or 20, and that's why I still have these. So this is going to be perfect. But any kind of old brush that you don't like anymore is also perfect to put in the composition. You can just make them shorter or take a bunch of them. And when is the time to say goodbye, instead of throwing them away, keep them and use them as art, because they were serving you so well for so long. Now it's the time to pay the tribute and make the proper burial in one of your projects. So it's an idea. If that concept works for you, you can just start with some basic strips, some layers, but in fact you don't have to. You can just go and add texture to your canvas. And I'm going to do it as well. I'm going to intentionally pick bigger pattern canvas, because on this canvas, bigger pattern stencil. I'm getting dizzy. Because on that canvas it's already so much detail, and I would use white medium, so I'm going to use modeling paste instead of gel to make sure this is going to be more visible. So let's say the first step, if you're playing along, is putting texture on your canvas. right? And the same for me. I'm going to put some texture on my canvas. All the stencils I was considering, they are quite bold. Big harlequin or bubbles, but in the end I decided this one is the best. Just by accident, there are some patterns or similar patterns of the checked resist canvas used in the composition. So if you have to make decision, this kind of hint may be very useful. So I'm going to put modeling paste because it's white. So it's going to be adding extra whiteness to the project. So even if you are not happy with the background you created so far, now we are pretending it is ugly and we don't really want to see it anymore. This is one of the ways to whitewash your project. You can add some paste that is going to tone it down a little bit. Of course, my composition will be quite heavy on the top. So I would put more of the texture on the bottom to balance that heavier top, if that makes sense. But if you have blank canvas, I would just go from corner to corner, for example, like the collapsing pattern, or from top to the bottom, leaving some empty spaces as well, because that is going to create more interest instead of putting the pattern everywhere. Are you with me so far? Is everything okay? You can hear me and we are all here because as I told you, I'm not so confident with the connection in my house. Sometimes we have some difficulties. So I'm going to use modeling paste. I'm not sure if you can hear me or not. Let's hope you can. Okay, thank you, Nuneka. Thank you. So, white is going to be my choice for now. I'm going to do a bit of that in the background, mostly on the canvas, where is the most flat. But of course, remember, this is going to be partly covered. So you don't have to be so perfect with that as well. So you can see even just adding this is making the project more delicate. Good, thank you, Cindy. And for the good balance, I'm going to do a little bit on the other side as well. Modeling paste is a cousin of gel medium. It's just white after drying. It's also very sticky. The only difference is, in fact, the color after drying. Yeah, I would leave it almost like this. I just want to make small patch here on the top. Oh, come on. Thank you. So we have plenty of texture. I'll just throw it in the water. And then before we're going to stick other things, I'll just dry it a little bit. Just to dry it so by accident I won't ruin anything. Yeah, Debbie, you didn't miss a lot. We only started, we were talking about the background, and I suggested you can start with the white background and put stencil pattern on the top with some kind of paste or gel. I would suggest white color. So I used modeling paste, but if it's transparent, it's also natural. And we're going to make composition with the brush. Okay? So if you would like to join, this is what we are planning to do. You may see that once I'm starting using the heat gun, the paste turns matte. It's almost like bubble gum. So you can see it is drying because it's glossy when it's wet, and it's getting like a little bit more transparent and matte when it dries. If you don't have any gel mediums and you still want to do some dimensional gluing, this paste is very good choice as well, because it's going to hold even the heaviest elements in place. So in some classes, especially when I know that we are going to repaint everything completely, I use that one instead of heavy body gel as well, because I want the students to know that you can replace the products. You don't really have to use the same one over and over. And I'm lazy. I usually use what I have on my table. No, don't panic, Debbie. It's all okay. We are waiting for you patiently. So, I was just mentioning to the ladies before that I found that background by accident in the drawer. I was looking for the black canvas. Blank was opened already, and under that I found this. The project that I started years ago, for some reason I never finished. So I figured it's going to be a good example of the background, which is ugly, and we can work on the top of that to create some final project. So it is tissue paper and some basic layers such as chipboards and lace in one corner, well, one side. And now to add more interest to it, to create more dramatic look, we added modeling paste, and it's example how to reuse the surfaces that you were not happy with as well. Of course, the color is already there. There's a bit of brown and a bit of red, but we don't really have to use a lot of it. If you decide, you can clean it with gesso. But I am inspired by these colors, so we are going to use them in the final creation. Okay. As I promised, we are going to use the big brush. You didn't miss much, no worries, Mabel, we are all waiting for you. So I suggested that you can start on the blank canvas and you can use a brush or a bunch of brushes as a focal point. For example, if you have old brushes, you can reuse them as your elements for decoration. And on that canvas, I was suggesting to use stencil and some kind of paste that will be white, for example, modeling paste to start. At the same time, I'm using the old background I created before. And this is something I found in my drawer by accident. And it is tissue paper and some scraps of fabric, some chipboards, things that were just glued down. But I didn't finish that project. I only started and I left it. So I'm trying to reuse it to show you how you can work with the halfway done project as well. So I was inspired by the colors I have on the canvas here. So the shades of red, that's why I have some red paint prepared. But what I did so far, I added white paste to it to cover part of that background and to make it a little bit lighter in tones. Okay? So no worries. And I dried that paste a little bit so I can work easily now. And I figured that was the original orientation of that canvas. I was planning to put the photo here, but we are going to work this way. And that means this is going to be the top, quite big composition, and then here's going to be the bottom. So when I'm going to add some elements to it, I already have some starting point. I can imagine how to organize my elements. Of course, the best idea is to stick the brush so it's going to stay in place. You can use modeling paste or you can use heavy body gel, whatever you have on hand. Maybe I'm going to use the heavy body gel. And we will make some composition that is going to work around that brush. I will just show you what is kind of inspiration we have for that project today. That's for Debbie, and for May who are a little bit late. Look, we are going to do something in lighter tones, yet it's going to be vintagey grungy, but in soft tone colors, and not exactly these colors, but this kind of techniques. So I hope you can see some inspiration here. And I will be talking about other options because I have more samples I was showing to the ladies before. But the set of techniques I planned for today are going to be very versatile, and they're going to help save every project if it's going to turn too dark. Okay? So first of all, I'm going to stick the brush. And listen, if you have any questions during that time, let me know, because I am able to answer and glue at the same time. So I will glue that one. I would like to see that piece of the twine here, so I don't want to go too far up. Okay, that was quite pretty. I put it in the middle because of the elements I already had here. I could move it towards left or right, but because everything, this chipboard especially, if you can see, it's very symmetrical in that part, I just use it as a reference and I go with the composition that goes in the middle. I hope that makes sense, because the focal point is going to be quite large. I need to start with what I've got. This is not blank canvas, so I respond to what I see here. Now, I have some bigger elements that may be used. I have some wings, I have some cogs, and I was planning to use the wings on the top of the brush, together with some label with the quote on the top. That means that will be one part of my composition already. And with the bigger focal point, it's good to make this flow. You remember, the eyes will follow the whole project. So we need to start somewhere and then go like in a zigzag, like flow of the water, and that is going to make the whole project nicely balanced. So if I plan to put this kind of composition on the top, I can start here or here and then take the flow like that, or take the flow like that. And I will start with the big elements first. I have some ideas here. In fact, I can start with, this is going to go on the top. I have this one broken, and that is going to be really cool start. Especially if I can combine it with some kind of a flower, it would be really nice. Oh, that would be nice group here to start. So let's glue it. Don't think, glue. This story is about the magical brush, not about a flower in the corner. So we don't have to master everything to perfection here. Okay. Now let's see how the wing, yeah, the wing is going to go perfectly in that place. So starting with this, the next group I need to do make somewhere here, and the last one here, so we have like a nice flow, right? Some bigger elements need to go first. So if I want to go with this, I have some broken chipboards already. And that may work as a big group. Let's do that. Now move a little bit. This is very empty. I would put a button or a piece of cardboard under so I can lift my flower a little bit, because otherwise it's going to hang in the air, and that means a lot of gel has to be used. So maybe I'm just going to go with like extra support. It's always good to have some cardboard on the table. I know this is the least glamorous supply you can imagine, but it works miracles. Yeah, what do you think? That sits perfectly there. Come on. Now I have empty spot here. I can add something, but let's focus on the flow first. I need something in here. And I have these ones, and this is far too big. This one would be better, but I really like the idea of the broken ones that pretending they're partly hiding under the, yeah, that would be nice. So it's good to have different kind of supplies on the table. Like, for example, the ones you can break easily. So they're going to help you build some kind of unusual shapes as well, because sometimes they're not bad. They are just simply not matching. So if you can find trinkets that you can cut, or I can slow down, Mia, no worries. Something that you can break, so it's going to match better. It is great option. I think I'm going to slide it in. So, Debbie, it's going to be good recap. However, we're going to use a little bit different techniques. I'm just showing that as a rough reference of the colors and the general look of the canvas, but we are going to do it differently. So you're going to have a bit of the new in it as well. I was trying to pick the selection of the techniques that would be the most useful to generally whitewash the project. No matter what you are doing, if you feel that your project is turning too dark, these techniques are going to be useful. Okay, so we have starting points, and that means I can now master them, make them better, make them more beautiful. So, yes, you can cut your old chipboard again. Yeah, that is great option. If you have good designs, you can cut in. They're not expensive, and this is a great thing. And in some countries, we have so many brands that make beautiful designs, which is great, that we are basically spoiled. But I know in some countries, it is the opposite. You don't have much of the choice. So it's a bit tempting, I would say, to start your own version. Ah, that's a good idea to add it on the top and the bottom. Look what I'm trying to do. I will do like a tiara here. Oh, how cute. So if you make your stuff grungy, you can open yourself to the option of making girly grunge. Try to stick, that idea in your head for a moment, and using kind of similar embellishments, selection of the elements, try to make them look a little bit more soft and shabby. This is what we're going to do today. So girly grunge is still heavy composition, but done in pale pink or in the tones of light blue, traditionally shabby chic colors. And these shabby chic colors are going to change the perception of the whole project. And I have to tell you, I had a very hard time in the beginning when I started teaching my classes, because a lot of people were terrified with the grungy and heavy color selections, especially when it comes to black gesso projects. Nuneca could see that in Spain. And that was something that some of the places were not bold enough to book as a class because they were thinking this is going to be unpopular. The students are not going to come because everybody was used to vintage, pastel, and shabby. And step by step, I had to fight to make them more open-headed and to see that there are much more interesting options if you give yourself wider color selection. So in the end, I was trying to make projects like that, so like a softer version of grungy, and this way people got a little bit more bold and more convinced that this is going to work. I would like to put something small here as well, so I need to find something, but first I will stick this big boy on the top. Yes, I remember. But if you want to get dramatic effects, you have to use dramatic colors. Okay, now it sits a little bit better. Yes, exactly. They are universal. This is, we make them in the colors that are naturally metal because that's what they made of. But if you think about them painted in white, which we are going to do in a moment, they're going to look so much lighter and less intimidating, I think. So this is what we have so far. We have some textures. I will make these compositions a little bit bigger. I just need to find something cute to put in that spot. How about a little lotus flower? Of course. Well, black is so friendly. Like you remember the first stream I was doing for the whole of the patrons, the whole group, and we were doing the light and dark. And this project would never look like it is now if I started with the light colors. It would be pretty, but it would be something completely different. And I think it would not have this impact. So it depends what is your goal, right? If you are going for something pastel and delicate, you have different set of the colors on your table, but the composition you are doing doesn't have to be so different. Okay, small sip of tea because I'm getting a bit dizzy. I have no idea what is happening with the weather today, but I think the weather is going to change. The rain is coming, so I feel like my head is getting a little bit dizzy. Oh, I think somebody is going to join us because I've seen somebody just joined the art buddies. So maybe you will get somebody else here as well. So guys, look, this is what we have so far. It looks fine, but we have the big stuff in. Now we need to add the small things in. And what is Duneka saying about trusting the teacher? I would say yes, especially if you have somebody who is supposed to be experienced teacher in front of you. And then there are some people who are afraid and they think like, I don't want to do that. There's a reason the teacher is the teacher most of the times. And if you want to learn the things, you need to have a bit of trust. Yeah. Well, you may not like the whole technique. You may just not be sure if it's going to work, but at least you get the experience. You know how the things were done, and you can use it in the future as a reference, or you can use those techniques to help you out with your own ideas. And of course, I'm sure this, not everything I do is for everybody. So now I'm going to expand my composition a little bit to make it more interesting, but I won't go too far. We want to focus on the brush. Well, if you are afraid, you can always ask what is going to happen later because you are not sure, and most of the teachers will be absolutely happy to tell you that everything is all right and you don't need to panic. It's the part of the process when you get the knowledge this way, you are already on the safe ground because somebody is showing you techniques which are checked, like, you know, already tried before. It's not like you have to experiment everything by yourself and you don't know what the results are. The results are predictable. You can see them on the example that the teacher is bringing. So if he or she was able to do that before, I'm sure they are able to explain that in the classroom. Yes, you can use them in almost every composition, and this is the whole point. You can look and see what is happening there and then think about it and use it for your own project, for your own benefit a little bit later. Now I'm looking for the smaller bits and pieces I can include to make it more interesting, to expand the composition a little bit, to add something dimensional here and there. This one needs something. It's very sad and flat. Let's get it a friend. I'm sure you want a friend. Oh, leaf. Do I need a leaf? No. Oh, that would be nice on the top, I think. Personally, I love these knobs. I had to get out of the fear of covering the metals with gesso. Well, they are beautiful sometimes. It's really hard to cover that. But on the other hand, it's not possible to get element in all the colors you would like to have. It's better to have general supply of the elements that are going to be on hand and then use them for different compositions and paint them instead of gathering all the possible colors of the all possible supplies just to discover that in the end you still don't have this perfect shade of green that you wanted for your project. Yeah, in the class you are not improvising a lot. Well, it all depends on the class as well. I give a lot of freedom to my students so they can do a lot of variations of the composition because they're getting the guidelines like I'm showing you now. Think about the flow, try to do the things together in the middle, but you can do it your own way that, you know, would be more natural to you as a creator than to me. So there's space for your own interpretation of my techniques. But my job is to show you the things that I'm confident of, and I know what the result is going to be. And if I suggest something, I try to give you the information why it is important in my opinion, or what will be better in this situation. Oh, this is very cute little clasp. I'm going to use it somewhere as a finishing touch. So I'm going to smaller bits and pieces now, trying to feel that composition, but to make it... Oh, this one looks cute. What is inside? Something. I lost plot. Yeah, so I'm trying to fill the empty gaps in the composition now. And if you want some freedom in the classroom, most of the teachers, they will be giving you some wiggle space. This is not like you have to do it only this way and no other way is acceptable. I know there are some teachers who have very strict rules, but I would say I think this is minority. I'm talking to the techniques, the composition up to the students, but technique how to paint the piece, sometimes it's everything. Yeah, it's good to know why you do the things as well. Okay, you can see the composition. I even added these bubbles here so they start the flow like this, and I'm tempted to finish that with another bubble. So you can see once you start adding elements, ideas come to your mind kind of naturally as well. It's good to trust your instinct. Yeah, well, Debbie, because sometimes you think too much, and I can see that you are on the right track. You are just panicking for a moment. On the other hand, I know that you have very good eye for design, and you're able to do a lot of techniques, and you are not my first student. Like, you are already seasoned student. I know that I can push you a little bit more than others because I've seen your work before, and I know that you are not going to get lost so easily as you think. And it means that, you know, even if you are worried, if you are not sure, I have much more confidence in you than you think. I'm looking for something flat and nice to finish the composition. I don't want to use the leaves. I'm looking for like smaller guys I can fit inside because it's almost ready. We are going to add some glitters or some little bits. Maybe I should do that. Find yourself. How is that going to work? I think I changed my plan. Yes, I changed my plan a little bit. I'm going to use the label Find Yourself. Very meaningful words, and they're going to go really nicely on the wings. Can we do more classes on composing and creating proper flow? Of course, Christina, we can. You know, I am the part of being art body is I try to create these exclusive streams according to your ideas and needs, right? When I ask you, what would you like to do? It's not because I'm lazy and I just don't care. It's because I want to know what are the things you struggle with, right? So you would like to learn more on. And this time you mentioned you would like to go with the lighter colors because you don't feel very confident about the white spaces. You feel that maybe you would like to see how to make project lighter, even if it's turning really dark. So I got that as inspiration. But next time, when I'm asking about the topic, you should just say, okay, you should work, let's work on the flow, or, you know, you would like to learn about certain kind of product, or you would like to get inspired to use natural objects, or, you know, I'm here to help. And in fact, if you give me your wish list, it's easier to serve than to guess your wishes, just trying to imagine. So I think there's no problem for me to create more of the projects exercising the flow at all. Especially I love creating projects. Oh, this one doesn't fit here. Oh my God, sorry. Let's go here. And Pebble. I'm absolutely happy to do something like that for you. We can also think now, because I'm finishing gluing and I am not going to do anything very dramatic in the next 5 minutes, what will be our next challenge? Because again, we have the power to vote on the activity. I can prepare for all of the patrons or even all the people if you want. You just have to let me know. Last time you decided that we're going to do ocean-inspired mood board, and the idea was great. People responded in a great way. So now we can go with another challenge. We can make product-based challenge. For example, I'm going to show some ideas of using, for example, gel medium, or some ideas of using mica powder, because I know some of you ask about mica powder. And then that will be the product pick challenge. We're going to use mica powder in 3 ways. Or it may be some topic-inspired challenge. For example, we're going to do something about like steampunk in red, and then Nuneka is going to faint. Or we're going to do topic like night dreams, right? And then including elements such as stars and moons, right? So this is another kind of challenge. And it's going to be also nice to change the challenges from time to time so we can all play. Okay, can we make something using upcycled things? Upcycling is very good option, because that means we take something natural, some object that is maybe not so beautiful, we change it into something completely different. So that is good. I accept the challenge. Well, so we have an idea. Mabel said that maybe we should do some upcycling challenge. And upcycling with maybe some kind of, like, we remember when I was doing Trash to Treasure for Prima, for this kind of challenge that we were doing open for everybody, right? We can combine, for example, topic and technique. So, for example, as Carmen, she's excited about night dreams, right? So we can do night dreams with obligatory upcycled object. And that is going to be challenge, which is different to mood board, but it's still giving enough ideas to work with that. Or we can do, as I said, 3 ways of using something. So in the meantime, sorry, just keep talking about the challenge for the future. I figured this is enough, and I will dry it completely before I'm going to do another step. So that's why I can talk to you now. I don't think I need anything more. We can always add some beaten pieces as a last step, just to show you example. Look at this guy. Right, this one was done with Artstones later, so you can always do it after drying or after painting. This one has some micro beads as a finishing touch, right? So even if this composition seems to be imperfect because of some of the blobs of the gel you forgot to take out, like me now, or, you know, some of the broken parts are not so beautiful, there's always a way to cover it. Okay, so I think we are getting mica powders, Cindy said, and night dreams. Okay, so I think maybe, how about combination of night dreams as a topic, and we are going to use mica powders. And for our next stream for the VIPs, we are going to do upcycling. So we are going to do found objects transformation. Okay? Red, pink, and green are the colors I fear. Well, today we're going to use red and pink. So you are going to step a little bit out of your comfort zone. You don't have to have my mica. You can try to do it with any kind of mica. Mica powder is a very versatile thing. But Mia, if you don't have mica, My advice is if you can buy the cheapest possible eyeshadows, you know what I mean, like cheap, dirty, cheap eyeshadows, you can do that with some of the eyeshadows as well. How about that? Of course, they may be a little bit more expensive when you comes to bigger containers, but for one project, if you buy a set cheap, very cheap eyeshadows, this is what they are. They are made of mica. So, you know. Look, I'm trying to dry it from all sides, so the gel is going to be completely done. So I know for the next time I have to prepare Night's Dream with mica powders. That's going to be a really nice project. Okay, well, Mia, don't use the good brands, okay? Don't use the good brands, but get the cheap ones. So they're, you know, you need to crush them a little bit, of course, but especially for the techniques when you have to mix them with something, they should work. Maybe not for mixing with water, but for painting they would do. Yeah, you know, if you don't have mica powders and you have the ones that you want to get rid of, you can use it. Of course, bigger containers would be much more expensive this way. That's why mica powders we are using, they're not proper for using around your eyes. But for the small project, if you would like to play, this is good hack. I don't have many eyeshadows personally. I just have like 2 or 3 sets, very small. But I am not really very experienced with makeup. So I have a lot of mica powders. Okay, so now before we are going to paint, remember, we check, right? We check with our fingers. We press down things if they're moving. And I will think about the challenge for everybody. Night dreams and mica powders. And for the next time, for our next project here, we're going to think about upcycling. Something to do, well, it's a bit of upcycling with the brush, but this is not the level we can go to. Like, we can really start collecting things that are found objects and try using them, playing more with assemblage, in fact. When you are drying, just be careful about the brush, because look what happens, right? This bristle will melt. This is natural, so sometimes it's nice when it melts. It looks old, but not all the times. So I'm just drying everything completely. Going from different angles, and I will now let it cool down a bit. And we were going to talk about painting options, okay? So we have a lot of us watching now. That's great. I told you that if you want to play along, it's good to have some sprays, because they're convenient and they're usually the ones that cause the most trouble. And because they are not easy to control, well, they do spray, of course, but sometimes the results are unpredictable. Like, we have shaky hand and then the spray goes everywhere. So this is one of the things that sometimes people struggle with. Second option, acrylic paints. I use a lot of acrylic paints, and you could see that I really like to combine applying acrylic paints with spraying just water, which is another way of creating spray effects, but in my opinion, easier to control. And next option is, of course, painting traditionally with acrylic paints, with metallics, or with the sparks, or with flat acrylic paint. This is another option. But I wanted to show you what happens if it's getting too intense. This is good example on this project. This is one of the techniques you are doing in that class if you take it in person. So one of the first thing, and you still see that happening, is application of the color that is in fact spray, and you just go almost everywhere trying to keep some of the background safe. And then when it's so intense and so dark and so overwhelming, you can tone it down in many ways. And that's why I told you you can get different products. I was suggesting paints which will be in light colors, so pastel metallics like Opal Magic or the White Pearl. I was suggesting mica powder in silver, and I was also suggesting white gesso or snow white impasto. This is combination a little bit differently done. This is done with a lot of white paint and then metallic paint sprayed on the top, right? So I was adding the paint and then use the water to make these colors flow. Very, very delicate. So that is another way of painting. And this is the same thing done, but with the sparks, super shiny, and finally finished with the waxes. So there are two options. You can start with gesso and paint everything white and then start applying products, which is very, very convenient. And I would say if you're a beginner with the light colors, it would be the safest way. Or you can go crazy with the colors right away and then try to tone it down. Let's do it traditional way so you can get more confidence with this. I get white gesso. That is probably not a surprise. Leftovers. And I'm taking the medium-sized brush. I don't need to repaint the whole background. I need to repaint the body of my brush and the embellishments, because if I'm going to keep them dark, they're going to be very visible. If you go for pastel colors, it's much easier to just repaint everything and then start applying your colors after that according to your ideas. I'm not going, oh, this one is not completely dry. I have to be careful here and add more gel. I think I know why I moved it so much up and then I didn't put the gel under. Sorry. Yeah, I got excited with the idea of the label and then I forgot to add more gel when I moved it. Just simply me. But it's not a big deal. It's going to dry together with gesso. Okay, so I paint the brush and the embellishments, medium-sized brush, flat, and one coat is going to be enough. We don't have to whitewash everything completely unless you want to do wedding project, something which is going to be so white that you don't really want to see even traces of other colors, okay? So for us, one coat will be enough. I know there's wings seem to be white, but because I'm not sure what they are made of, I think it's a kind of clay, I will be feeling much better when I will paint them. I just will make sure they will accept my paints and everything. The same with the resin. I know it's light color, but I prefer to add coat on the top of that as well. It's just for making my work easier. I try to keep the layer of gesso on the text very thin so I can see it later. Any questions for that step? Maybe? I have to hold that one for a moment. Maybe a little bit more here. You can also add a bit of that to the background if there's something that you think it's too colorful. Of course you can. Your chat is frozen. If your chat is frozen, I think you should restart. And I think mine is frozen. No, it's not frozen. I can see your writing. Just refresh the page. Refresh the page. I think sometimes YouTube is going crazy. Yeah, everybody's super quiet. It's a very small stream. That's why. Usually we have hundreds of people or more. But this is only 10. Well, 11. This is very private class. And this is one of the advantages because it's, you know, VIP class. You can ask all the questions and it's easier to get in touch and you can decide about what I'm going to do and so on and so on. So it's just a pleasure to spend that time with you as well. Okay, let's check from the other side if there's no mistake here, like no dark spots. This orange here is not the best. Oh, can you see that? Of course, there's always somebody who's going to look in that part. Like me. That should be enough. Of course, if something is very, very dark and you know you want to have it super light and pastel, you can do 2 coats. But because we're going to spray and we're going to brush more of the product on the top, this is just to whitewash it and to give you the idea about you know, what is going to be the color palette. Okay, so now I will just dry it completely and I will read the comments. Well, smaller classes are just, you know, special treat. You are very about, you know, sometimes covering is crucial, really. Because if you are not going to cover well, it will be visible. But I know we are going to do a lot of painting on the top here. So that means I don't have to make the first layer perfect. And the more you do it, the more you realize that it's not really needed to spend so much time and so much precision on bottom layers of the painting. It's much better to spend more time on the final touches. So if you feel that you are very much of a perfectionist and you do a lot of prepper painting, this first coat doesn't have to be like that, okay? Especially if you're going to work with other paints on the top. No, is everything okay? Your eyes are very big, very, very big. Gesso dries quickly, so you don't have to go too far. I leave it open, or if you want to get really good whitewash, you can use acrylic paint instead later. Up to you. Maybe I will use the white paint instead. And now, color palette. I told you I plan to do something inspired by the colors of the background. So that means shades of red. And these will be whitewashed, so don't worry. They're going to be much more pastel, but in the beginning they will be dramatically dark. I have also some kind of purpley tone. And of course I have some brown as well, because it's going to work with the background. So if you're obsessive, this is not the moment when you need to switch on your obsession yet, okay? You can switch obsession a bit later. Now it's like preparation stage. Just to show you which colors I picked. I'm using sprays intentionally because this is something that is the hardest to control, and we usually have the hardest time to apply them in a light way, right? We have colors like this. Scary enough? See, that's why I'm showing you the things that are scary. Okay, and the brown, sorry, the brown is, oh, the brown is clogged. I have to unclog it. Oh, I think it's tea, in fact, not the spray. Yeah, it smells like it's tea. I will just make one brown color. Just a moment. I was sure it's acrylic, but it's tea. Where is brown? Are you brown or something? Let's see what you are. I have tons of the sample sprays and I have no idea what colors. Black. Not exactly what I wanted. That should be brown. This is turning interesting. That's kind of brown, not very dark, but good enough. So now, let's say we want to be brave and we are looking for the colors going with our project. And you decide, yes, I'm going to use the sprays. You want to use the sprays, you are ready. You take your colors. Your first color is going to be this pinky red. Ta-da-da-dum, ta-da-dum, tum-tum. And then the next one is going to be a bit of that orangey thingy. Whatever that is. Maybe some purple. For good measure. Look, I'm spraying quite close to the middle of the composition. But still, the splatters are quite big, right? So things like that happen. It's kind of natural as well. I'm making groups of spray. If you do it with the acrylic paint, you can make a drop here, drop here, drop here, and then spray the water as well. Let's do the brown because the brown is missing. Hooah! That is red. Red, orangey red. Scary enough? I can do darker. Let's do some darker tones as well. It's intense, and now this is not completely done because on that side it's white, on that white is too much color. You feel this is a bit off. You don't know what to do now. First of all, you can try to pick it up because it's too dark. That's one of the options. You can try to come and save this, but most of the times it's not going to help. So what you can do, you just dry it. Let's say this is acrylic paint or sprays, just dry it first. So it's getting permanent and then you can do something with that. So look, this is option, right? Christina is afraid of these colors. I can see some of you are as well. But treat it as an ugly stage of your work. You can make it different in so many ways. So it's a background color. It's possible to tone it down. But the most important thing is don't panic. Dry it and then we're going to work with some techniques on the top. Well, this is what you are for here, right? You wanted to see what you can do. Maybe I will pick up this big puddle of the paint. These sprays are really strong pigment, so they are not going to be easy to fight with. That's why I took them. I want to show you that you should not give up too early, okay? And believe me, I did it before, I know what I'm doing. It's a bit too pink to me. It's supposed to be more red. So I'm going to do more of that with dark colors. Let's go dark colors. I'm going to use red wine, beautiful shade of red, metallic with a tiny tint of pink in it. Beautiful color. And I'm going to make it even darker with the brown. So let's say we panicked and we added the dark tones to it. I'm taking smaller brush and adding even more of the... Is there any paint there at all? Red? Yes. Ah, I know, it's just dry. Okay, I have to use some water with it. More of the red. Ta-da! Are you still breathing? More of the red. I think Carmen is the only happy person at the moment. Yeah, these colors are intense, but remember we are going to tone them down, and I will show you how you can go to lighter to change them. This is my job today. How to deal with colors that are scaring the crap out of you. Like, I would not finish like that as well. This is not a finished project. I need to add some water here. Yeah, I'm adding some of the red because you think, oh, maybe red would be great. You can water it down a bit so it's going to flow better. So we make it even more red. Right? So I'm turning that darker. I can now add some brown as well. The same story. Remember, when you want them to flow, you can water them down. So we combined two ways of painting already. You could just do one of each. This is enough, I'm sure. But we wanted to make it really, really dramatic. Yes, Carmen is absolutely happy. I knew that. Yeah. So we have intense colors. Probably too much for some people here, but it's okay. We're learning. So again, make sure everything is dry. This orange was really nice. Let's add some more orange. This is the day you decided you want to be bold and try new color palette. In fact, it's good color palette because it's all focused on the warm tones, right? Everything seems to come together, but it is intense. Yeah, Karen, yes. So at least I made two people happy. So this is intense, it's striking, but now we can work on toning that down. I'm just going to pick up the colors a little bit so it's drying quicker. And first thing, you should get flat brush, and you should get something that is going to whitewash it. So it's going to be gesso or it's going to be white acrylic paint. I'm going to do it in stages so you can see how you can work with different supplies you have. Just pick that up a bit again. This is the stage of the class when I would say to somebody, like, if you have something like this, just breathe, it's going to get better later. You have to go through the ugly stages to go to the pretty stages as well. So far, so good. Just make sure that everything is almost there. I can see it's still wet in some parts. Just don't have the patience. Now, let's admire this color explosion. Ta-da! What are the useful products to tone it down and make it lighter and make it more tamed, more shabby, more delicate, or if you prefer, more elegant? Yeah, one of the options, gesso. Second option, good quality white paint. So, for example, white impasto. This is very rich white paint, very matte as well. Now we have also options such as pearl, metallic white pearl. I lost the label, but this is my paint from Metallique line. And some opalescent paints. They're going to do a good job. You can even go to waxes, but waxes have, they're the last step of your work, so I would use them in the last stage. In the last stage of your work at all. So I don't see my waxes at the moment. We are going to start with the gesso or white paint. What you need is flat brush and a bit of patience, palette, pattern tape, and we're going dry brush white. And I'm sure you heard about dry brushing already. This is very rewarding and very good technique, but I need to find paper towels because my husband misplaced them somewhere. Oh, no paper towels in that house. Interesting. Making a circle. Oh, found them. And I said my husband did it and I did it, of course. You have to blame somebody. So maybe you don't believe, but from this you can go to this. This is how it was done. So from that intensity you can make a very nice and pale version of it. Dry brushing. We take paint on the brush or white gesso. We clean off the excess and we put minimum 2 coats on the top of everything. 1 coat is never enough. But what is important, you have to do it in stages. Like first, put coat on the top of everything. And don't get worried that it is not covering, because with that intensity of the bottom paints, it's not possible. However, I'm not going deep. I'm not dabbing that. I'm going like that. I'm touching the tops. So in the projects, it's kind of annoying. I'm going to take gesso. This is so sticky. Yeah, will be easier. So with the projects, when you have a lot of texture, you are in fact bringing the details back. It's similar thing we are doing, adding the waxes in the last stages of the work, when you are adding metallic paints, highlighting the details. But now we are whitewashing the project to make the color less intense, and the project more dimensional. So I'm starting on the top of embellishments project, but not going too deep. I want to see the traces of the original color as well. Does it make sense? The trick with that is 2 coat is minimum. And you will see why. Because when you do 1, it's always messy and ugly. 2 coats make a big difference. So this is, I'm placing 1 coat first, and I'm starting on the embellishments, right? And of course, my background is too dark as well. So what I'm done, once I'm done with embellishments, I'm also adding that color to the outsides. This was too pink. I should take a cleaner brush, but I forgot. From the outside to the inside. 1 coat minimum. So we are doing first coat. You can see what happens when you use sprays. They bleed. Can you see the bleeding? They are mixing with your white paint or with gesso. Don't panic. It has to be done. So in the first stage of your work, you're whitewashing all the things that you overpainted. You can see my color here. Sorry. It's all pinkish. It's because I pick up the pigment from the sprays. It's better to do 3 or 4 thin coats instead of trying to repaint right away with 1. It's very important. Okay, yeah. We are not repainting everything. We are, in fact, using the color as a shadow. So all the reds, all the oranges, all the browns are going to be our shadow color. This is the technique you can do anytime when you have too dark project and you want to, in fact, soften it. And you can do it on the texture, you can do it on the flat surfaces as well. Gesso is one of your best friends. Now it is 1 coat. I dry it. And there's a reason I dry it, because I don't want to blend more of the white in. I want to put another coat, so this has to be permanent. Does it make sense, what I'm doing now? We're going to go through a lot of stages of whitewashing and softening. This is stage 1. Of course, it's also important, you can see it was still wet here. Make sure it is dry before you start, because you know, when you put this gesso there, it is making your project more muddy. You don't want muddy, you want whitewash, like almost like a frosting on the top. I picked red colors, which are very, very strong, and they're going to bleed a lot. Red is one of the hardest colors to cover, so you're going to see what you can do with these tones as well. Of course, if it's going to be any other color, especially softer, it's going to be less work and it's going to be much easier, okay? I'm just drying the background and I'm drying the embellishments and the brush. Now, I'm going to take clean brush and I'm going to do dry brushing of the background from the outsides again. I don't want to pick up any more pink by accident, okay? I took the clean brush and I'm adding quite a generous amount of this gesso and I'm brushing that in. Can you see what is happening? Now the coverage is much better. It's not going to be completely white, but You can get there if you want to, but maybe there is no need. Maybe it's okay to be soft pastel pinkish. The other side, the same thing. All the textures we did with the stencil are getting visible now. Thin coats. I don't want to kill all the flowers, that's why I'm removing parts of that as well. You can dry again. You can see we're getting more of the drama. You know, the color is inside, the outsides are lighter. So we are getting that white background, which is attracting attention in the middle. So you can repeat that step many times, but on some point you will see you are losing the details, which means maybe it's good to switch to something else. I'm just doing the last stage of the background now with the gesso. I take the same clean brush and I'm going to do the second coat on everything. Gesso after drying is always a bit transparent, so that's why with the gesso you have to do maybe 3 coats, while with the paint 2 will be enough. It all depends on the pigmentation and color you want to get to. Always touching the tops. Look. Not painting in. Flat. Okay? Flat. Different directions, but flat. Instead of red butter house, as Nuneka politely said, we're getting pinkish tones. And in some parts there will be more red where I use the orange. Well, it is easy if you are not panicking and if you are not stopping too early. I think what happens for some of the people when they don't like what they have, they think it's a disaster, and that means that they can't save it and they get stressed and they walk away. Instead of thinking, okay, what can I do now? And what we are really doing, as you noticed, yes, Carmen Sita said, we are getting beautiful depth. This is exactly what happens with this technique. You can imagine instead of these reds, we have greens or blues or browns. Any color combination you like will work, as long as you are sticking to the idea of whitewashing it and making that much more softer. Yeah, so I'm trying to get that result for you just with gesso, so you can see just what gesso is able to do, okay? But remember, always clean off the brush and delicate touches and flat. Different directions. You can make circles. Also, the quality of the brush is important. It should be quite soft and delicate bristle. So I use the Teclon one, which is the most popular mixed media brush. And if it's going to be very hard brush, dry brushing may be harder. That's what I find myself. I know some mixed media teachers, they prefer hard brushes. I'm not going to, say it is bad way. It's just different. I prefer to, to have this delicate flow. Well, you don't need to get sprays. If you have acrylic paints like my paints like that, you have sprays already because they are permanent sprays. You can just make them at home to try. Once you fall in love with the sprays, you can buy more but to try if you like them. I think it's enough to make some of the bottles and check if it's something for you. This one is broken, it's really annoying. Go back, go. Okay? I'm going to dry it, and we are going to discuss what else we can do from that stage. Any questions for that step? When I don't like it and throw it away. Yeah, don't throw it away. I only threw away one project in my life, and this is because the hole in the middle was so big. It was paper. I decided it's just easier to start over instead of trying to glue something on the top. It's always a way to save it. In the worst case, if you can't really find color palette anymore, just paint it black and use something metallic. It's always going to be beautiful. Yep, you can use liquid acrylics, Karen, with the water together, one inside of another, and create permanent sprays. If you want shiny, you have to add some mica powder. This is possible way of applying that paint. Yes, of course you can tone down black as well. It's going to turn gray, then light gray, pale gray. It's going to be exactly the same effect. It's just going to be different color palette. Now, it's like, you know, you have red turning into pink, right? Pink turning into baby pink, blue turning into baby blue. It's just a lot of brushing. If you want to cover the black, it's a lot of brushing. A lot of brushing. So, now, you paint it with 2 coats of gesso or white acrylic paint. Impasto. It was too sticky to me. I had to add the water. It was easier to use heavy gesso. Now, let's look at the result we got. You remember the red intense we had? Now it is serving as our shadow, while we have a lot of whiter color on the top. Yeah. So, what if you wanted more white? You can continue with brushing the gesso. The problem is the gesso is quite thick. The same for acrylic paints, like these ones, yeah, they're quite thick. So sooner or later, you're going to lose the detail. I will be afraid to, for example, lose the text here, or I will be losing the details of the feathers. It is possible that it is not going to work too well. So now, options. And if you would like to get it more white, you can take bigger cannons, like, you know, really big guns, and use metallic white. Metallic white is always going to be much whiter than flat white. And it's going to cover more and give more visual drama. Okay, so if you can get white metallic paint, this is, for example, white pearl from Metallics. Or if you don't have it, pale silver mica powder, which is very, very pale silver, almost like white. You are able to create much more whiter version of it. Just in case if you're wondering how to use it, the best way is to use it with some kind of liquid medium, a fluid medium as a base, or even soft gel as a base. So if you have mica powder, this is a hack already. You can see before others. I'm going to show the same technique in the challenge for everybody. You can use the liquid art medium, so fluid color medium or this one, as a base to create a bit of metallic paint. So let's say I'm taking a bit of this and I'm adding a lot of mica powder. Taking clean brush. And what was in the bottle is in fact base of the acrylic paint. It's fluid because we want to revive old paints, or we want to make my acrylic paints more liquid. But if you are in desperate need of a certain color, you can create this way small amounts of acrylic paints as well. Maybe just show you. Yep. And after drying, this is going to be permanent. So Mia, if you have some eyeshadows you would like to use, you need liquid medium or soft gel. This just dries quicker and it's more sticky. And you can create small amounts of the paint. It's not really easy to create a lot, because remember, this is going to dry out quicker than the paint in the jar. Sorry. So if you want to a lot, it's better to have a jar. Mica powder in pale silver color. Any mica powder which is going to be light color like that. Hope it is sharp. Pale silver. Yeah. So now using this, the same way, dry brushing, maybe a little bit thicker than before. Look. Yeah, lighter. More of the white. The color is getting glamorous and very, very white. Yeah, the same thing happens when you use white pearl. This is basically metallic paint based on the mica. You can see it's the same thing. Just of course this is better quality because it is originally made and it is going to last longer. But it's good to know that if you're running out of your white, you can create a little bit yourself if you have mica powders. So now I'm going to use that to give a whitewash on the top of my embellishments. So they're going to be much colder, lighter in color. So these are like really serious whitewash. But do it step by step, okay? Dry brushing, because this way you're going to control the situation. Just make sure you're touching everything you want to see. For example, I really love these lace details. It's nice to show them with this mica. Now it's almost baby pink. Yeah? So this is another option. If you are not afraid of the metallic finish, this is really doing the job, and it is a great way of creating effects on your project. Any questions for that step? We have option of white metallic paint or white mica powder. Another option would be white wax as well. I don't have it in front of me at the moment. I just have to find them. I just put them in a good place. I can't find them anymore, but I will find them. That's very interesting. But now we come back to the question. Is this what we were planning to do? Right? Because now it's very pale. It's very pink. Maybe you wanted something more vintage. It was supposed to be more dark. What to do now? And now you can deepen the colors again by adding the darker tones if you want to, or adding black, or adding other colors that are going to be accents, right? If it's still not white enough, you can go with more of the gesso here. I will now dry it and I will show you how you can make some accents on the tops. I think I left all the waxes in the tray, that's why I don't see them. Any questions now? Because you're very quiet and I'm wondering, is it because it's frozen or you fainted? Or you feel like, well, this is not what I expected. I think it is frozen. Let's see. No, maybe it is not. We are delighted. Well, it's different now. Okay, so you have to put a comment like once in 5 minutes so I can see it is working, if it's not a problem. Okay, look, from dramatic red, we went to a very softy pastel, right? For some people, this would be finished. They would say, okay, I'm quite happy with the results. It is fine. I just want to have it so pastel. So, okay. It's just so cute and so sweet. You know, I make these things for so long and I play for so long with these different supplies and ways. It's I sometimes forget it may be so exciting. So, what can you do? You can do more of the dramatic colors, accents, but remember, it is acrylic painted, so if you want to do some visible effects, dry it, so your surface is going to be permanent, and then you can add accents, deeper colors, and so on. If I would like to make some deepen shadows, I can go with acrylic paints which are metallic or not metallic. For example, very good combination is to just use a little bit of the ink black to make it even more dramatic, right? Light but dramatic. Maybe we overdid the white. That is now what we are thinking. Ooh, too much white. So I can do, for example, just remember with these guys, smaller brushes, okay? So you take a small brush. I have so dirty water here. Okay, right? Small brush. Then you can check the color if it's going to be, I have some clean water. If it's going to be not too dark. And you can add a bit of that drama, a bit of that shadow to kill a bit of this sugary, powdery effect. So go right away and create like a shadow. Or you can combine the paints, of course. For example, this reddish color with this black and make like very, very dark color and then apply it in some places, especially in the shadows, to make it more interesting, right? So if you feel that you overdid your white, now you can come back with more precise painting. If you were watching the video I just dropped 2 days ago, the one about time traveler, you could see how much time I really spend on painting it. And I think this is the moment when you can start to be anal, as you said, okay? To be more dramatic with the painting, to start working on the details, because now this is going to be the look that you are going to finally see in full glory. And I really love that oranges here, so I'm going to take a bit of Firebird. Sorry. Big blob. And I'm going to use that to a bit of, you know, add these more rusty effects as well. You don't have to use your hand as a palette, but you can if you want to. You can now play, right? If you do it with these colors, the dimension is going to change, the accents are going to change. You know what I mean? I'm trying to show you a lot of options so you feel more confident next time when you're playing with this kind of projects and combinations. Like, nothing is lost. We can always bring things back. And if you want to soften things, remember water is your friend. You know, everybody's different, so we like different results, different effects. I told you many times I am a huge sucker for drama. I love to see bold effects in the projects. But on the other hand, I'm quite a huge fan of monochromatic as well. Can you see how this one changed? What are colors of those you are using now? These two, red wine, the same one I was showing you. This one, flame, not Firebird, flame. Right? And from the acrylics, I just used black, ink black, to make it like transparent shadow. Now let me dry it so you will see the final color of it. And we will talk about other options, because there are more options, of course. Flame and red wine. These were the metallic paints. You can do brown as well. Brown would do very good job here. They are good colors. In a way, red wine goes into pinks if you water it down, but flame goes into coral. So they are a good combination of colors as well. Of course, before we do anything, like for example, you may be tempted to finish that with waxes, right? Once you have it done, you can do the waxes. I will show you the best colors of waxes to do the final touches as well. And I will show you the best paints to do the final touches. So you can compare the results. just trying to get rid of the color. You can see you can hardly see the elements I had in the back, right? I had the colors there. I had the inspiration, but it is lost under the layers of paint. It happens, but the details, they're still beautifully visible. So if you're recycling your order project, you don't have to keep the color. Thank you so much, Chris, for staying so long. You can always watch the last stages a bit later. No worries, it's going to wait for you. Okay, now, other options. Let's say you wanted to do the final touches with the wax. Personally, I don't think I need it. I really like the acrylic paint look, but just to show you the result with the wax. Remember, this is the one I was showing you. There, it was much more splattery painting. I was using red wine and I was using royal blue. But in the end, after painting, I rubbed white gold on the details here. You can do it. The result is going to look like this. It is possible to go into different direction instead of adding color accents. In fact, to calm it down, rubbing the wax. So let's have a look at the waxes. Good choice will be silver. This is very light tone. If you need to, make more soft pastel color of your project, old silver is a very good choice. And of course, the second good choice, old white, which is going to be just white. You can apply with your finger instead of brushing the gesso or acrylic paint. That's another thing that you can use. So you could get some of that results by waxing with two colors. Of course, after that, it's much harder to paint some accents. Another good option is white gold. These are the lightest tones of the waxes. Where is my... Oh, Heather Hills is not bad. Oh. Of course, I can't find the white gold now. Okay. I can't find white gold, but I'm sure you know what it is. It is the one I used here. Very light tone. And you can also try with the delicate pastel tones like this one, but really the best results you're going to get with white gold, old white, and old silver. So this is possible. If I would be doing that with this wax, I would just start with the finger, almost like, you can see it's very similar to the pearl color, and I'll be touching the tops. Instead of dry brushing, I would be rubbing. So for example, let's here, I'm going to rub so you can see the text a little bit better, right? So that would be another option. And wax is more precise. So if you are going to feel this is too splattery, too muddy, too much happening, wax is going to be easier to control. It's going to show the details more than acrylic paint. I hope that makes sense, right? So that is an option here as well. And another serious reason to use the wax is on this tag. I used a paint which was extremely shiny. You can see it's almost like a mirror. Sparks have a lot of mica that is reflecting the paint, reflecting the light so much that it may simply kill your eyes. So when you feel this was just too much of the shine, I rubbed a bit of the rose gold wax, which was matching the colors of the paints I used, and this calmed down the composition a little bit. So that is going to be another option. If you feel that you overdid the metallic, you can calm it down with the metallic wax as well, or with the old white as well. So this is where we are now. We are thinking and deliberating, is it finished or not? You can do it more white, you know how. You just use more of the delicate tones. My suggestion for the colors that's very good for making pastel delicate tones are Opal Magic paints. Just look at them. They are super pale and they have a lot of shine. So if you use them after the gesso, you can get, you know, results like this, opalescent, nice colors, which are going to reflect the light in a really pretty way. And of course, it's not going to be very visible if I apply it now. But look at this one. This is the one I was showing you. This gold color here can be done with Opal Magic paints, or it also can be done with the iridescent mica, the same way as we did with the blue. So how do they work? Let's say I'm going to take this one. I'm going to do it here because this is going to be much more visible. They are the paints which are visible on the dark and visible on the light. So dark, it's going to be the background color. It's going to show the gold in this tone. And on the, really. And you can see this is like mother of pearl effect. They're going to reflect a lot of light. So on my project here, they're going to be showing more like purpley gold. See, on my hand, it's getting very dark, but here, very pastel. So I can do some more of the repainting if I want. And this paint reflects so much light. It's perfect for soft pastel effects. The problem is it's very addictive. So you will feel like, oh, I need to repaint everything. So you have to be careful when you're applying these ones, because they will be really adding a lot of interesting effect. Now I would like to just show you what happens with these ones. They're going to do a little bit of the goldy tone in some parts. You can if you want to. If you don't want to, we will repaint it back. It's not a problem. But look, just such subtle tones. And I'm using violet gold, but you can do it with rose gold or any other that contains gold from the Opal Magic. So that would be another option. For me to finish it, I would just do some splatters because I really like quite how intense it is. You know how to make it lighter already. Oh, that's more me. And now you have to let me know if you have any questions, any suggestions, any kind of information that maybe is important, because I don't want to lose any precious moment with you, because you may be wondering about something. I was trying to give you the set of ideas that are going to be useful. how to whitewash your project, how to kill the very dark tones, and how to bring them back. So I like the richness of it. I think I'm tempted to add a tiny bit more of brown, because there are some browns in the background, but I'm not satisfied completely. Yeah, this brown is really making me happy. It's burnt sienna from Liquid Acrylics, just in case if you're wondering what I'm doing. So guys, any questions? Is there anything else you would like to ask about? Any ideas maybe? Any things that you are not sure about? Well, I'm not sure if I should take it as a no, because you're quiet. I think it froze and died. Okay, yeah, now I can see there are some things happening. It froze again. I'm redoing the project I made this week. Okay, all is good. Are liquid acrylics translucent? Do you they get some of the shimmer from underneath? Yes, they may be. If it's very intense shimmer, you may see through it as well. Okay, so look, I made it darker again. So now you know, you can regulate how dark you want to do, how light you want to do. Do you prefer more soft, elegant, shabby? So then you polish everything with the white and then you get that nice background shadow color. Or you prefer more painty, then you bring back more of the colors that were under, so you have more of this grungy feeling to it. It's really easy to switch between these two effects. Of course, if you feel like doing it, you can add some finishing touches such as micro beads, right? Here are some pollen color micro beads. I painted that so much that I don't even think I need some microbeads here. But you can also use glitters, especially if it needs some shine in it. I suggest glass glitter for the grungy projects. It's very good composition as well, combination. For me, these two colors would be okay. So these are blush and pollen microbeads. They could be matching my composition. And it's up to you. Honestly, I am just tempted to add some orangey splatters to it and to finish because it looks nice. I don't really think I need to change anything. If it's not white enough, I can always come back with some wax or some metallic white paint. It's really, I can go back and forth many times with this until I decide it is happy. So for me, it is at the moment pointless because I quite like the result, but I hope you can see how this process is done and that you can stop on each of these steps easily. And you can proclaim it finished and say, yeah, this is done. I'm happy. I don't really want to change anymore. I'm just making some splatter color. So I'm mixing brown with this flame orange color. I would just feel the brush needs a bit of the splattery finish. Yes, splatters. Yeah. We are on the same page, I think. No. So the plan is next month we are going to do upcycled project. We're going to do some altered art, some upcycling. So I'm going to find something cool as an example for us to play with, and I'm going to work on the challenge for all of the patrons like we did last time with the ocean mood board. So this is going to be night dreams and using of mica powders. This is what we agreed, and I think this is a really nice combination. So it's going to be use the product and you have the topic as well. Not bad, I think. For the example of the techniques and reusing the background, I'm quite happy with the results. And remember, this is also giving you the whole wide range of options to use the products that you have at home. So if you have gesso, use gesso for dry brushing. Most of us, we have white gesso. If you would like to do the metallic touches, the white metallic touches, you can get acrylic paint, but also mica powder. And the results are really nice and dramatic. The extra shadows, if you don't have liquid acrylics, you can do it with the watered down black gesso and then mix it with metallic paint as well. Of course, you have to really water it down and to make it very, very soft and delicate, but you can. Like, this is possible. You don't have to have every single product because that is basically impossible. And of course, some things are easier to do. For example, much easier to use acrylic paint than to mix mica powder with the base, but I would say mixing is so easy that it is absolutely okay. And if you have mica powder, take the advantage of it. Remember you can create your paint very quickly. Yeah, I think maybe the project of the night dream is going to be popular because it's going to give us the whole selection of techniques to use with the mica powders, and it is also going to be kind of friendly color palette. People usually are not afraid of shades of blue, so that should work. Here I use the most scary colors I could think of. I was trying to make it really dramatic, just as you wished. Make something ugly and then repaint it. So I tried. I tried. So the title, Find Yourself, it really has a very deep meaning for that project, I guess. So guys, any last questions maybe? Anything else you would like to ask before we're going to say goodbye for today? Of course, I will take photos of it and I publish for you as well. I know, Karen, they are not scary. I know. It's me, you, and Carmen. We are on the same side. Like shades of red are very exciting, but it's not the first choice for many people. They will be much more. I think they will be much more leaning towards shades of browns or blues, maybe even green. They feel, they're more relaxed color palettes. They don't feel confident with these fiery tones, which is okay. And there's one important thing I want to tell you. You don't have to do lighter tones of mixed media. You don't have to do soft pastel ones. However, it's nice to do them from time to time, because maybe this is not your creative language. Maybe this is not your thing. Like you don't need to try. If it doesn't work for you, if you look at the final project and you feel like the next day, still not this, you feel like, oh, this is too pale, I can't. Maybe that means that you're a naturally vibrant or dramatic dark colors person, and you don't have to push yourself to do soft pastels. I do soft pastels from time to time, but mostly I do them for vintage projects when I have naturally delicate color palettes. And even here, I broke that with some reds and blues. Because this is something that I believe works pretty well. Like, this project is probably the most pale project I made, but it was done in the classroom, so I was trying to show different colors palettes. And you can see I could do totally that color, this intensity with these techniques. I just intentionally darkened that for you, so you could see how to get out of the light to go back to the darker tones again. You can do it much, much more white. There was a stage when it was a very white project, and it is just one of the ways of working. Remember, there are many other options. You could just paint with a little bit of the paint on the top. It will be even lighter, but I wanted you to have like a toolbox of the techniques, how to go from the darker tones to the lighter ones, if you know what I mean. And of course, in the future, we are going to do a little bit more of the pastels as well, in a little bit different way. So if you feel that this is something that you would like to see, you just give me a hint in the future that you would like to do different ways of the pastels again, and we will do different combination of the techniques to get the results. Like, however, this whitewashing on the top of the darker colors is one of the most beneficial techniques in dimensional mixed media. If I can say my personal opinion, this technique, when you put the top color and you leave the bottom color visible a bit, when it serves the purposes of the shadows, it's one of the most useful when you create dimensional projects, because it is building the 3D effect but it's already adding the color to it. So I'm going to show that canvas during the next texture and color edition of Mixed Media Essentials as an example as well, because this is a very good example how you can do quite monochromatic yet very visible focal point project, and the shadows I made around it make the brush even more visible. Any more questions? Anything else? I just show you myself after the painting. That's me. Stop. That's the project. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope that gave you the idea. Getting rich shadows from the background colors. Try, Carmen, try. That is great example of mastering the layers. These shadows are really important, and you can see the reason is to get that visible dimension even from far away. Like, look, I'm going quite far, and you still see the focal point, right? So this, for the dimensional collage, when you really want to make that visible, it is what we want to get, because we are putting these all details here. We glue for so long for the reason that we want people to see it from far away. Let's imagine this is in the gallery. You put that project in the gallery, people will be looking at it like from... Thank you, Pandora's box. Thank you so much. People are looking like from 2-3 meters away, right? And they need to see the details from that far. So creating darker shadows is a logical technique for creating project that you put on the wall. If you make a mini book like this, right? The shadows, they don't have to be so dramatic, because this is something you are going to look at when you hold it in your hands. So you look from here. So you see all the details, like, oh. And this is really worth it to put all these tiny bits and pieces, like, these textures, because people will come close and they will inspect all of these. However, if you plan to do a project that is going to be displayed on the wall, go for bolder, because people will be looking from far away. Dorothy, I was thinking somebody's going to join us, because I could see that you were getting. I hope you enjoyed and you didn't miss a lot of the beginning, but of course it's going to be processed by YouTube and available to watch with the whole chat, I think in about 2 to 3 hours, but the video will be visible right away. So thank you so much for joining us today and getting into that process. So I hope that is going to inspire you to experiment. If you're afraid of the bright colors, try to do it maybe with shades of brown. If you're a naturally vintage person, do that with intense brown, and then try to whitewash the brown to see what happens, and then bring the color back again. Think about that. If you are a blue person, you have the whole version of it as well. Maybe, you never know, maybe this is an option. You can really do a lot with the whitewashing. And this is one of the techniques I started to do many years ago. And in fact, one of my first classes, Imagine, is based on the whitewashing, but a little bit more intentional. This one. This was the class when I was, in fact, exploring with people the intentional whitewashing parts of the project and darkening parts of the project as well. It is online class, you can take it. from home now, and that was in-person class, one of the first ones I was teaching, when I was really showing what you can do with sprays and gesso, and people were surprised how many effects and how many tones and what a great dimension you can get. So in fact, some of the techniques we were doing today, you can see the similarity already, I think. Okay? So guys, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for this wonderful time. We have a plan for the next one, and I will try to think about options, what we can alter next month in our secret VIP live stream. And if you have suggestions, what you would like to see, what kind of objects maybe, give me a hint in the group, of course. And I will get ready for the challenge. So somewhere on the break of the month, maybe next weekend, I will try to do the challenge live stream for everybody. That was the class I scared you with the black gesso. But look what you can get. Yes, stay all safe, guys, and thank you so much for joining. My hand is my palette. Bye.